Thank you very much. I'm curious, did any of you who are here tonight see U2 last night? Oh, quite a few of you. Did you have a good time? Did you enjoy it? I love a bit of U2 and I'm very curious to see that room, although I do get very bad vertigo. So someone told me I might not be good there because I might throw up and like pass out and be dizzy and stuff like that. But I do love a bit of them. I've seen pretty much every tour they've done when I've been like 12 and above. But I'm glad you had a good time, and obviously thank you. What trip you're having? Have a nice music weekend, don't you? Coming to Vegas to come to these two shows. So this next one, and then the show will really get started, was the first song that I wrote for my second album. And my first album didn't really necessarily have a specific sound to it. It was basically like all my favourite genres and types of music that I liked as a fan, thrown against the wall and, you know, made into a record. It was a bit of jazz, it was a little bit of like indie, a bit poppy, a bit bluesy and soul and stuff like that. But I didn't really have a sound, not that I necessarily wanted one. But I was very lucky with my first album. I got to come and do a tour in America. I did a couple of tours actually. And I say that I was lucky because, you know, this is like, well, I'm 30, 35 and a half. So, I don't know, I'm not very good at maths, but it was like a long time ago, right? And obviously the way that we consume music and discover things now is very, very different to how it was 15 years ago or however long it was. And we can discover someone brand new very, very easily now, whereas when I was doing that, it was like hardcore radio tours and stuff like that, and going and, you know, doing signings and all these things. And if you didn't have a radio hit, you're a bit fucked. Whereas now you can just have, you know, you don't have to be signed to anyone. Radio, you don't really need it as much anymore. You can just have a big hit on a streaming service and stuff like that. So the fact that enough people were interested for me to be able to actually be able to come and spend some time, that's what I mean by I was very lucky and fortunate with it. And when I was here doing that, when I was like 19 and 20, I discovered lots of artists and genres of music that I hadn't really heard of. Again, very different way of, you know, discovering music then to now. And I was sort of put on to country music, which I had never really, it wasn't really a thing for me in England when I was growing up. The only country I knew were the likes of Dolly Parton and Shania Twain, which, as fabulous as they are, isn't the, you know, it's not the entire sort of breadth of country music. And my tour bus driver at the time, B, was from Tennessee. And he used to love listening to music really, really loud on his long, long drives through the night. And this was back when like, I was a big time smoker. So I go up the front and have we call cigarettes fags. I'm not being like homophobic there, we call cigarettes fags. Just say that, because sometimes Americans get a bit confused. So I'd go and have my fag out the window. And over the music I'd be like, what's this song? And he'd be like, this is Garth Brooks, this is the Still Drivers. And I'd be like, who's that? Like, you know. And he's like, you don't know who Garth Brooks is? And I was like, no, I don't. So he made me all these playlists of country songs and stuff like that. And I fell in love with country music immediately. And it's the storytelling in country music that really, really got my attention. So when I was finished doing everything with my first album, and it wasn't necessarily time for my second album, but obviously I had nothing to do, and it was officially my job now was to be a singer-songwriter and stuff like that. I was really hoping that the sort of songwriting style of country, as in the attention to detail, had rubbed off on me. And I was also ready to have my own sound a little bit, but I had no idea what that was, and I just had to like cross my fingers and hope, you know, that I've been a bit of a sponge for the last couple of years, soaking it all up. And I went into the studio, I had one day free, and I went in the studio and I wrote this song. And I was so pleasantly surprised and chuffed with myself because it indeed had rubbed off on me. My attention to detail with my lyrics and my ability to express myself emotionally through my lyrics was night and day compared to my first album. And I also remember on my first album, I used to read reviews because obviously it's like brand new, being like people talking about you and stuff like that. And the reviews are actually all great, and it was like, you know, the songs aren't as good as her voice. I was like, well, fuck that, let me fucking show them. So after I wrote this song, I was like, oh my God, I've been a sponge. I've been a sponge, let me go ahead and write, you know, write all my songs like this. And of course I had no idea what I was doing at 21. I was actually heartbroken. It was my first true time of like a proper breakup. Like, you know, and obviously when you're 21, you think you're gonna like, the world's ending, you think no one's ever gonna love you again and that you're gonna be an old spinster, grey gardens with cats for the rest of your life. Such a drama queen when you're 21. But obviously the album went on to be the album that it is, and it grew a pair of legs and ran around the world a few times on its own. But if it wasn't for B, one of my bus drivers, I don't think 21 ever would have happened. So To do this song, I'm going to need the girls though, so please give a massive round of applause to Lauren, Amanda and Katie. Come on girls. Let me get one more sip of honey. I'll chat